Well, this song was written back in 1976 when there was a whole lot of activity going on across Indian country. After Wounded Knee happened, after the takeover of the BIA, the Menominee Warrior Society, and when AIM took over the Temple University in Philadelphia in 1976 for the 200th birthday of America. And in response to that, we here on Shinnecock, a few of us warriors who would become the warriors of the sunrise, said, well, we should take over our own land. We should take back West Woods. Well, how do you think the neighbors would feel about that? And this is what I thought they would say. Ready? Spread the news across the nation. Another Indian occupation. And it's going on in Westwood's Hampton Bays. They're trying to get their land back after all these years. What's getting into Redskins these days? Well, their bones are in museums where people pays to see them. Now they want them back to put them in the ground. Why should we do it? There's really no point to it, since we pretend that Indians aren't around. But they're starting to fight back now. We didn't think they knew how. All they knew about was getting drunk. Now they're talking casinos, gas stations, and big bingos. Who ever thought that Indians ever thunk? Better call the BIA to cart the savages away. They're starting to ruin the neighborhood. And everybody knows just how that story goes, that only dead Indians are good. To spread the news across the nation, another Indian occupation, and it's going on in Westwood's Hampton Bays. Well, they think they'll get their land back after all these years. What crazy ideas Redskins have these days.
I'm Jennifer E. Cuffy Wilson, a Shinnecock member, and also a member of the Warriors of the Sunrise and the Graves Protection Warrior Society. Sovereignty Camp 2020 is something that my elder had been thinking about doing for some time, and I am grateful to be a part of this. I'm a part of it mainly because I am so sick and tired of New York State and the town of Southampton continually to take advantage of my people, to take advantage of our friendship, to take advantage of everything that we have done for the town of Southampton. They have just taken advantage, and I'm tired of it. We need to have some sort of economic development so that we can feed our people, so that we can live in good housing, so that we can send our young people to college And right now we can't do that. Right now we are not living the way we should be living. And the main reasons why we are living the way we're living is because we do not have the funding to do anything. Every time we try to do some sort of economic development, the town of Southampton and New York State stops us. And I'm tired of it. I'm done. So this camp really means a lot, and I want us to continue to fight. I mean, we're going to fight until the end. I mean, this isn't over, It's not even the beginning, because this has been going on since 1640. So the camp is just a continuation, and it will continue until the town of Southampton and New York State do the right thing. And the right thing that especially New York State should do is drop the lawsuit.
Members of the Shinnecock Nation know of a time before there was a Southampton, before there was a state of New York. Since the land emerged after the last ice age, able to support human life thousands of years ago, the Shinnecock people have lived on what has only recently been called Long Island. Since European settlers arrived in the region in the early 1600s, the Shinnecocks have been fighting against dispossession and intentional exploitative underdevelopment. This indecency is followed by cruel and absurd efforts by the state of New York to prevent Shinnecock self-determination and economic development at all costs. Last year, the nation built the first of 2 monuments and digital billboards on the side of Sunrise Highway. Upon seeing the first monument being erected, Hamptonites complained that it was an eyesore and petitioned the state for its removal. Similarly, the town had successfully halted recent Shinnecock plans for a small gaming venue. In siding with the aesthetic desires of their donor class over the ability of the Shinnecock people to feed their families, the state of New York filed a lawsuit against the nation, claiming that the monument is not on aboriginal or sovereign lands. In May of this year, the New York Supreme Court reviewed the case, complete with hundreds of documents affirming Shinnecock ownership, and conclude that it is, quote, undisputed that the Shinnecock Nation's ancestral domain encompassed essentially the entirety of what is now the town of Southampton, end quote. Yet the state refuses to drop their lawsuit, an outlandish attempt to dictate what Shinnecock people can do on their own land. One of the central demands of Sovereignty Camp 2020 is that the state drops this completely baseless, and racist lawsuit. We echo the calls to Governor Cuomo and Attorney General Letitia James to drop the lawsuit against the Shinnecock Nation.
Some part of me wants to go and look and see what's happened, and another part doesn't even want to know. So I came home, and Becky she's been home for quite a few years. I was out with AIM for 20, just not home at all. So I basically was away, except for coming home every year for powwow for 40 years. But, always in support of what was going on. But Beck we lit that fire. It's going on 8 years now. She called me up and she was just frantic, because that was like the height of the drug trade on the reservation.
About 8 years ago?
Yeah. And it just got things got really stupid. And, the tribal council was trying to push through gaming, casino, and everybody loses their mind. What are the Indians up to now? So there was talk of casino, and then we cleared the land. It just kind of exploded. And whereas we had a pretty good relationship with the town and everything prior to that, I mean, they were still stealing and lying, but there was no big ruffle. But when they heard we were going to build a casino, and Foxwoods had just kind of opened in Connecticut, and that's what everybody had in their minds, and Shinnecocks were, we're going to be rich, I mean, because we're dirt, stupid poor over there. And so the thought that we could, have a casino and be rich just really tantalized people. Then they were like, well, we have to be federally recognized. Well, we were already a sovereign tribe. It wasn't, and we already had our land. So I didn't see the point of, getting onto the National Register, except that then they wanted us to kind of all be federally recognized, so then they could all federally take it away. So I fought against that at home. But that was the three things: the casino, the federal recognition, and some of the tribal leaders were behind the clearing of the land, moving ahead without the tribal okay. Because we talk about everything. It has to be a decision of the tribe to do something like that. But that started a lot of shit. Just clearing the land. We never built anything, as you can see. So, it got politically charged after that and divided. But people got, stupid on the res, and there was shootings and, and so Beck called me up. I was up on the farm, and she says, what do we do? This is nutty. I said, well, Beck, light a fire, because that's what we would do to call the people. Whenever something was going on, we'd light a fire to see who would come and sit and talk. And yep. And there were people, what do you do? Because we were troublemakers. The Aimsters were troublemakers. And light a fire, Reb, and see what happens. And she did. And she kept that fire constantly going for like 4 years. There was always somebody at the fire.
Wow.
Because it's right. She gets up and walks, out, and you're at the fire from her house. So that's where she focused her thing. And then she was taking, what are your complaints with people? So she gathered all that information together. And then she and Jen, they like to tell that story, so I'll let them tell the story of how they occupied the community center.
Oh, wow. And this was just like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen to this area eventually?
Who knows? I don't know what they're going to do with gas station or whatever. Something nice, though. It's going to be something nice.
Do you think a gas station's a good idea?
It's not a bad idea.
Unkechaug, that's what they're doing, right? And they're making pretty good money from that.
It's a start.
Yeah.
They took everything else, but they gave us a little plot of land. And that agreement, they changed. They took that agreement and then put it in town of Riverhead. They had us go there, and they had another. They make their own agreements. Whatever they say goes. So they said that we weren't Indians, and they were going to take the land and do what they please with the land.
I'm Rebecca Genia from the Shinnecock Indian Nation, Warriors of the Sunrise and Graves Protection Warrior Society. And we, again, are seeking justice for 380 years of maltreatment and demoralization. Indigenous people of Long Island have been taken advantage of for far too long. The town of Southampton apparently doesn't take us too seriously, or the state of New York doesn't either. So it's time to take a stand and make that stand for justice and for Indigenous people of Long Island and for our Mother Earth, who's being destroyed by the overdevelopment crisis in the town of Southampton. They're destroying our sacred waterways, which is called the Shinnecock Canal, and our bays and our oceans and streams and everything are being destroyed by greed and profit, and these billionaires that live on stolen land and build their mansions on stolen land of the indigenous people. All of this we are seeking justice for, and we're here for you too.
They would sweep their dirt floors. So every year go by, they fix this, fix that, and everything. But when Cousin Lois passed away in 1975, I got the house in 1978. So, and my point is, you fix, and you fix, and you fix, and you fix. So we have and I told you guys this before, how many houses in the Hamptons I own.
It's true.
It's true. I'm responsible for 5 houses, and 4 of them are, they're mine. One's my mother's house because she just passed away. So, but this is what we live in. This is what we live in, and this is what we've been living in, tribally. And the tribal help is nothing. I'm a lot bitter than she is because she's younger. And I'm the one out there trying to piece this house together for 40 years. And this is, in the meantime, we got another donation of another house. When I got assaulted by the New York State Police, I got a settlement. Every penny went into that house. So I can show you a picture of that house. That's 20 years. So we got a 40-year house we've been fixing, 20 years fixing that one, and another one on the other side of the road we've been fixing for 10 years. Yeah. We can't do this. And I can't pass, not just but I can't pass another, this poverty and this cycle of, you can't even live in a decent home. We're not allowed to live in a decent home? Why? I mean, and like I said, I've been going to tribe meetings since I was 12 years old. So 52 years later, and I witnessed these men folk treating women like they were dirt. We couldn't vote, we couldn't even speak, much less vote. All of this abuse and this mentally ill cycle of insanity that was, put on us. I mean, since 1640, like I said, those 380 years, you talk about demoralization. I mean, beat the people to shit. What do you expect to, we're lucky we're even a little bit together. We're lucky we're even alive. They tried to, eliminate us off the face of the earth. They managed to do that to many tribes on Long Island. And of course, we all know the history of the whole entire world. So here we are, a handful of us left, trying to hold on to our, our tradition, our culture, our language, reclaiming our language, and, working hard for the ancestors' graves not to be desecrated, all this, all of that. But meanwhile, you can't you're freezing in your freaking house, and the mold is so bad, and the electricity's about ready to burn everybody down, and the plumbing, you can forget about the plumbing. So there's story after story after story, just with the basic needs of freaking life.
The particularly powerful Southampton Town Board is currently headed by Jay Schneiderman, the local vanguard of economic warfare against the Shinnecock Nation.
They're sitting on one of the most valuable pieces of land in the country. And they could generate income from that land. They could all be millionaires. Literally. But they can't seem to get behind any one idea and stick with it for very long. I don't know what's the right economic development direction for the Shinnecocks. It's really up to them. But they have opportunities to, the town is not standing in their way.
He claims to want to work with the nation to help improve their situation, while simultaneously chastising them as an inept and unorganized group of people who live in poverty by their own doing. It is clear that the representatives of Southampton can accept no sovereign Shinnecock economic development plan, aside from keeping members of the nation in manufactured poverty as a manipulation tactic to get them to sell the land. This strategy is not very different from sanctions used by the United States against its enemies to cripple the livelihoods of civilians. Schneiderman's language echoes that of billionaire Michael Bloomberg, former NYC mayor and failed 2020 Democratic presidential candidate, who owns a $20 million estate in Southampton.
I'm right near where I live in the Shinnecock Nation, and it is just a disaster. There's all sorts of problems, and I can't tell you that New Yorkers are doing what we should do, but I will help them as well, because we just can't have a group where there's all the domestic violence and drugs and alcoholism. We just got to do something. When you see that, you got to say something's wrong, and then we've got to stop it and actually give them some services.
Social ills Bloomberg claims to be able to fix with his entrepreneurial interventions. The issue, however, is precisely the decades of actions by New York's elite that have prevented the Shinnecock Nation from pursuing meaningful forms of economic development, leading to a situation in which 60% of the nation lives below the federal poverty line.
My name is Viva Thunderbird.
What does Sovereignty Camp 2020 mean to you?
Sovereignty Camp 2020 means to me is that we finally get to stand up to the white man and his government and his assimilation and all the injustices that he did for our people for many years. And the Shinnecock people specifically have been talking about taking over Westwoods for years. And I think that it is definitely a wonderful just a wonderful thing that we're finally able to do it now, especially after Trump being in presidency. And it's just like, it's a great conclusion to the year. And I think that all of us coming together, the different nations, the different ethnicities, I just think it's just wonderful. And we finally get to say to the white man that this is enough. This is our land. We are sovereign people. And most importantly, this camp is not to be mean to them, but it's to get respect from them, because we are Native people, and they need to realize that their governmental system doesn't fit us. It never did, and it never has, and it never will. And they need to respect our traditions and our diplomacy of what we do in our culture. And that's what camp means to me.
I think a lot of it's the oppression that has happened to our people, and the constant putting down and saying that you can't just stay on that reservation, don't leave that reservation, but of course you have to go to school, and then you're with you grow up with these people who have lots of money, and then but not saying that as an individual you have to look further for yourself to make your own life better, and I know that is what a lot of people say, what I'm saying, well, why don't you do something with yourself, why don't you go get an education, and it's hard when you don't have, when you didn't grow up with any type of money. You don't have, so you're already struggling. So a lot of people out here, you guys went to college and you have degrees and all this stuff because your family, you came from money. You never had to struggle for it. You never had to, worry about it. You had a college fund, but us on the other hand, it was generational, the treatment that we, I'm saying, that we got. So we weren't able to, a lot of us weren't able to see past that and say, okay, well, we'd love to go to school, but now I need a place to stay. I don't have a house. I have to, I don't even feel like I should go to school, things like that. It's a mentality as well as not having anything to start with. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bunch of different things that play into what it is. But like she said, why do we have to pass this down to the next generation? I was born into it.
What we have is the solutions that we have is that all of us, besides all of us human beings on Earth, but all of us on Shinnecock, we all have our gifts and our talents that we we're being stifled and suffocated. So we made a list of what we call fostering Native businesses. There is a business for everybody on Shinnecock. I mean, the talent is ridiculous. She's like a tattoo artist and a this and a that, and this one does this, and everybody does something wonderful. Right. So what we did was we made this list of different business opportunities as far as we call it fostering Native businesses. And it's we need that partnership, that help. Maybe not tribally, because like I said, we go to tribe meetings and they're ready to rip my hair. I mean, forget it.
That's all like the virtual ones now, because they're not sitting in the same room as everybody else. It's just virtual. I think we should do it like that from now on.
Forever.
Yep. And then you can't fight with anybody because you can't touch them because it's all on the computer.
And what fun is that? Because most of the people come there to release their frustrations on each other. We're like,
that's why we don't get shit done.
Right. We're in this cluster of each other, and although we love each other and hate each other and love each other and hate each other, I mean, it's like if you lived with 600 family members, how the hell much work could you get done? I mean, this is doing that. So you have like 50 million opinions on what color the sky is. It's like it's a system designed to fail. So as far as tribally, we're trying to do solutions or whatever. I don't have a whole lot of faith in tribal business at all. I've seen it come and go. Many opportunities just come and go and come and go and come and go. So, but you can't give up, right? Can't give up hope on the tribe. Okay, fine. Support all the good efforts of the tribe.
Yes.
But individually, we also have to, nurture that whole entrepreneurial thing. I mean, with the hemp, this is like our second season of growing our hemp. We didn't listen to anybody who said, oh, you can't do this. We've heard that all our lives. You can't. Who you think you are? I don't want to smell your pot.
Yeah.
So
somebody actually said that.
And that was for the
big
big
thing. It was going to be smelling while it's growing.
Right.
Come on.
And besides that, we are finding out about, because we do the hemp, but on a tribal level, we're going to do the full-fledged cannabis.
Yeah.
So that people are complaining about the odor and everything, but we're finding out that the odor, everything about cannabis and hemp cleans, it's cleansing, it cleanses the soil. It's like the oysters are in the bay, so is the hemp. Good morning, Vive. Good morning. So it's like the hemp and the cannabis, they're cleansing and cleansing. Everything is cleansing about medicinal. Can you imagine if the world had cannabis and not opioids and cocaine and crack or whatever?
Yeah,
so it's medicinal for us. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Yeah. So anyhow, this is our second year on our hemp products, and we're growing slowly, whatever. It's wonderful. It's better than what we've been doing, just sitting back trying to figure out what the tribe's going to do. So
and I think that, I just look at it like, okay, well, if we started this now, so we're getting education, we're getting the jump on, how growing is, how cultivating is, genetics, everything about that has to do with hemp, cannabis, kind of hand in hand. And all of that, and once they have the funding or whatever, they're ready to say, okay, we're ready to open the dispensary, we're going to be the first ones in there to say, now we're doing the whole hemp side of this, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because I am the damn tribe. And you know what? You're not going to tell me I can't do it. So we've been doing it, and once they are open, once they're ready to go forward with it, I want to be that first person there to say, well, we've been doing it for years, so we know what we're talking about, and you don't. So, to make it go further, make it sustainable. I mean, that's big business. It's a huge industry, and we'd be fools to not do it. Especially, we got the land, we don't have the laws that bind us, that we can't do anything with the rest of New York State. We don't have to follow their rules, but we also have to make our own internal rules, so that way we're growing in the right ways. We're not all that good stuff like that. But and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot to think about. I know that, but at the end, it's definitely profitable. And between that and a dispensary, who the hell needs? We want to go into that whole spiel. Maybe that was for the best that we didn't get that.
Yeah, I mean, you know how the universe works and everything, so.
I think so, because it didn't happen for a reason, and
So getting back to the entrepreneur and the partnership, we're a peninsula surrounded by water on three sides. We had a shellfish hatchery that just went boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And unfortunately, again, on a tribal level, very hard to keep it together. So again, that's a whole other thing. There's women like us who go out to their oyster beds every single day, on the outside, and they collect their oysters, they do their thing. So that's a whole other thing that the tribal members, and one tribal member is doing it on a regular basis. Another one goes in and out because he's a little older. But anyhow, the point is that that's a whole industry. The shellfish industry is right there for us, but if we can't get it together tribally, then yes, us three can make the partnership and go on out there and do the oysters and do the scallops and blah, 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 blah. And my brother is like 40 years of aquaculture knowledge, experience. The man knows his stuff, and he works in the restaurant washing dishes. So it's like, he's a freaking scientist. He's a marine biologist. He's freaking washing dishes.
My name is Tila Troge, and I'm a member of the Warriors of the Sunrise, as well as the Shinnecock Graves Protection Warrior Society. And Sovereignty Camp 2020 it has really been a beautiful thing to be a part of. We have really worked on building alliances for the past couple of years that help amplify our voice, and we have so many people willing to stand in solidarity with us. And I believe that one of the reasons why is because our story, so many people can connect with it and just see the injustice being done to us. It's not a new story. It's a little bit of a unique story, but a lot of people can really relate to what we're going through because, they may have also gone through a similar situation. But it's been so just amazing and incredible to see the outpouring of support from all over the world. And so our work here is not done. It's almost not even started, but I can't wait to see all of the beautiful things that are going to come out of Sovereignty Camp. And I know that everyone who leaves Sovereignty Camp is going to come away maybe a little bit of a different and hopefully better person. And I'm looking forward to all of the works of art, the writing, the education, and just the love that comes out of Sovereignty Camp.
Can you sing a song about Sovereignty Camp?
All right. Sovereignty Camp stops racism. It supports Shinnecock people, and that's the truth. The land's not in zigzags or spots. No. It's way different. It has food and water, not like at home, but not like at your house. It's only tents, not a house. And you get to have lots of fun because there's lots of space, so you get to play tag every day. You get to see lots of people. You get to make new friends. And that's what I think is true.